Good morning. Today is 30 January, the year 2007. I'm Dr. Dave Thompson, a volunteer at the Palm Springs Air Museum here in California. Part of our mission is to record and preserve the history of our country's military conflicts, especially World War II. As part of the Veterans History Project of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., we conduct interviews of veterans and civilians who participated in those conflicts. Today, I'm here at the museum along with fellow guest Roger Joy, and have the honor and the privilege of interviewing Private First Class Chuck Vining. Private Vining was a rifleman on Guadalcanal, among other islands, during World War II. So we're going to talk to him about that and a lot of other things. Chuck, nice to have you here.
Pleasure to meet you.
Now, let me put this up here. Would you state your full name for us, please?
Charles Edward Vining.
And would you spell that for us, please?
Vining is V as in victory, I-N-I-N-G.
Okay. And when and where were you born?
Chicago, Illinois.
And what year was that?
1924.
And the date?
October 4th.
October 4th, 1920. So that makes you about 82 years young. Okay. And what was your father's name?
Charles Edward Vining.
Okay. And what did he do?
He was a machinist and took care of things working in factories, building,
Yeah.
all kinds of things that you can't believe now.
Like what?
Well, practically everything you can think of is mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like, let's say, machines that you worked to make other machines with.
Oh.
And he did that for years and years and years after he got out of World War I.
Oh, he was in World War One.
Right.
What branch of the service was he?
Army. He was in the Army. Over in Europe.
He did get overseas?
Yeah.
Did he get into France and see
Yes.
some of the action and stuff?
He did that.
Did he talk much about it?
No.
Yeah.
No, not much about it all, other than the fact that he was there.
Yeah. Okay.
And enjoyed coming out alive.
I guess so. Right. How did he end up in Chicago? Where did your ancestors come from?
Chicago.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, did they come from overseas somewhere, or Vining? What kind of a name is
Came
that?
from France, I believe.
Did they? Oh.
That was a long, long background.
Uh-huh.
But he was born in Chicago himself.
Yeah. And your mother, what was her name and her maiden name?
Maiden name Forrester, with 2 R's. Her family basically came from England.
Uh-huh. And what was her first name?
And Jeannie, we call her.
Yeah. And do you know how she and your dad met? Where they met each other? Anything?
That I don't know how they met, because my mother died when I was only 2 years old.
Oh.
And I have no personal memory of her as a person.
Yeah.
But I have pictures that I cherish, carry with me in my wallet everywhere, all the time.
Do you? Oh, well.
Of course, I talk too much about that, then the tears flow.
Oh, okay. And did your father remarry afterwards?
Yes, he did, about a year later.
Uh-huh. And so your stepmother, what was her name and her maiden name?
Her name was Mary.
Uh-huh. Do you know what her last name, her maiden name was?
Burns, B-U-R-N-S.
Uh-huh. Okay. And did you have any brothers and sisters?
Not
Yes.
bloodly, except for my dad.
Yeah.
With my stepmother. I had a brother and a sister that way.
So they'd be like half brother or half sister.
Half-brother,
something
half-sister,
like that.
yes.
Yeah. And what were their names?
My brother was Richard, and my sister's name was Mary also.
Okay. Are they still living?
No, they've been deceased quite a while.
Okay. Do you remember the street you lived on in Chicago?
That's 907 Keystone Boulevard.
And where is that? Where was that? What part of the city is that?
It's sort of the northwest.
Uh-huh. Okay. And so I know that you kind of grew up during the Depression. Did that impact your family? Was it?
I don't think so, because everyone was living in the same house.
Yeah.
My dad, my stepmother, her brother, her parents were all in the same house there in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Did your dad, was he able to keep working the whole time?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
He was.
okay.
He also drove taxi cab part-time.
Oh, he did. And what did your kids do for fun when you were growing up?
And baseball, basketball, football, ice skating, roller skating, all those came to stay alive.
Did you follow any of the sports teams in Chicago?
Oh yes, the football and baseball.
Which were your favorite teams?
I like the Chicago Cubs mostly.
Cubs, yeah.
Baseball.
North Side, right?
Yeah.
So,
I love that team.
yeah. Did you go to Wrigley Field?
Yes, many times.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoyed it immensely.
I bet you did. Do you remember any of the players on the team?
At this time of my life, I'm afraid not.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Right. And was your family very religious? Did you go to church much? When you were
Occasionally I went to church on Sundays.
Where would you go?
Presbyterian church or Pilgrim Congregational Church, whatever happened that day.
Yeah.
But since then I've joined a separate church, a Seventh-day Adventist church.
Oh.
We go to church on Saturdays.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
Loma Linda has.
Yes.
This guy.
Loma Linda is very popular with us. And I've been with that church about 50 years now.
Have you? Oh, okay. Yeah. We'll kind of go back to that. But how did you end up joining the church?
That church?
Uh-huh.
My first wife was an Adventist.
Okay.
And so we got to going.
Uh-huh.
And later on in life, we divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And I remarried and maintained the religion anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember the grammar school that you went to?
I remember it. Let's see. The name isn't coming up to me right
Was it
now.
very far from your house?
No, I walked to school.
Walked to school. Yeah.
It's probably about 6-7 blocks.
Uh-huh. Did you go to junior high and high school?
No, I just went to high school, Austin High School.
Austin.
I graduated from that one
You did. And
in 1942.
okay. And did you play any sports in high school?
Not in high school, but outside,
Just-
on the street, on the poker yard, everywhere, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But not with high school.
Did you, were there any favorite classes that you took?
I love math
Mm-hmm.
and English,
Uh-huh.
and otherwise just the generalities.
Do you remember a favorite teacher? Any particular teacher that stands out in your mind?
Now, one was, I think her last name was Graham. I can't swear to that.
What did she teach?
Just general classes.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't in all of her classes, but that was a general one.
Right. Do you remember what you were doing on December 7th, 1941?
I was at the movie. I came out of the movie and there was big news about Pearl Harbor. Oh, wow, what happened here? Why did they do that to us? What did we do to them?
Mm-hmm.
But, from then on, it was, wow.
Yeah. So you were in high school at that time?
Yes.
Still in high school, right. And so you graduated in high school in 1942? you said?
In spring of 42.
And so what did you do after you graduated?
I started working with the same kind of work my dad was doing. And I was also driving taxi cab part-time. And
Do you remember the company that you drove for? The taxi cab?
no.
Or what kind of cars they had?
They're just sedans.
Uh-huh.
It was okay. It was okay. They were okay to drive.
Yeah.
Chicago was a tough city to drive in at the time. But I enjoyed that. It was extra bucks, you know.
Yeah. And did your father have a car?
Yes,
His
he
own.
did.
Do you remember what kind it was? Your family car?
It was an oldie. It was about a 26 Ford, if I remember right. I also remember driving down the road one day with my dad. I was in the right front seat. We hit a little bump and the right door fell off. I looked out there and I said, "Whoa, Dad, the door's gone." Stopped the car, back got the door, and kept on going. It's a little scary, but
Yeah.
for a 17-year-old,
Right. Yeah. Did you have your own car
no.
before you went to? Okay.
No.
So when did you? How did you get into the Marine Corps then? How did that come about?
Well, school was out. Of course, I graduated from high school and spending the summer working like that, and everything was fine until the war popped up, and I said, "We got to do something here." My dad had been in the Army in World War One, and so I decided to join the Marine Corps. It seemed like a good thing to do at the time. I still believe it's a good thing,
Yeah.
but they sent me to San Diego Marine Corps base for training.
MCRD.
Put me on a train from Chicago to there.
Had you been to California before, or was
No.
that the first time? Okay.
Never been before.
What was the train ride like?
great. I love the trains. My favorite way to travel, except by driving a car.
Yeah. So tell me what boot camp was like.
Wowie. That was tough. I mean, there's no question about it. It was routine and military style. And you did everything by the book, by the law, by the word, and everything else. You just learned that. That was great to learn. My dad was very, he wasn't stiff, but he was pretty stern too, from the spankings I got as a kid. But I enjoyed it very much, despite the fact that it was very stiff, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
Best way I can explain it.
Yeah. Yeah. You see these movies and how tough the DIs were and stuff like that.
Sometimes it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the ferry going across to Coronado, the ferry boat in San Diego?
Not at that time.
Yeah.
Later on in life, I did. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then from boot camp, where did you go?
To Guadalcanal.
Right straight to Guadalcanal.
Right straight to Guadalcanal. Get up on a ship in Los Angeles, and away we went.
And you were in, okay, what outfit were you in then?
Well, I didn't think it was an outfit at the time. I was just graduating from boot camp.
Okay, so you weren't really in,
I was going there to be in some unit.
I see.
That became the 1st Marine Unit, I believe.
Became 1st Marines. And that's the 1st Marine Division?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you remember the regiment?
Not the regiment, no, I don't.
Okay.
But we went across on a big ship, and
yeah.
I can tell you one funny little story.
Yeah.
I was boxing in the Marine Corps too. That's some of the things we did. Mm-hmm. And aboard ship that time, going across the ocean, a lot of the people, most of the guys were hanging over the rail, barfing. They're seasick. I wasn't seasick. I just laid up on top of the deck. I was napping one of the days going over, and somebody came up and just kicked my foot hard. I jumped up there and was ready to fight him. It was my Boy Scout leader from Chicago. What is he doing here? You know, he was older than me. He was probably in his 35s or something like that. And I was ready to box him, fight, knock him over the side or whatever. It was a hard kick. He did that just to be funny.
Yeah.
But it was just unusual and so nice to see him.
Yeah, really. Wow. Do you remember his name?
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay. So were you in the Boy Scouts for quite a long time?
Yeah, I was a Life Scout. I was going for Eagle at the time I joined the Marine Corps.
Oh, you were? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me a little bit about the Scouts. What were some of the things that you did as a Scout?
Well, mainly a lot of camping and doing duty for citizens in the city, helping people do this or that and whatever.
Yeah.
But basically, that's it. And learning about scouting, of course. But did a lot of camping out.
Mm-hmm.
Very enjoyable.
Yeah. And so, when did you get to Guadalcanal? What year and what month was that, more or less?
That, I believe, was late January of 43. Not 42, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, 43.
43,
January.
43, right.
Okay. So, was there still any fighting going on when you got there?
The island had just been secured, supposedly, but there was still a lot of enemy floating around on the island as we were giving us fits, fighting and shooting us from every direction they could. And so we were still fighting them, but we owned the island, so to speak.
Right.
So we had that big airport, airline.
Henderson Field.
Henderson Field, right. And it was a big field. It had these metal mats all over me. You'd trip over those things. But that was not a problem. It was just one of those things you have to watch where you're going.
Were the Japanese still coming? Were they bombing the island or?
On occasion, they would. Yes. In fact, the worst bombing thing I saw was I was in a dugout one day because everybody knew the Japanese planes were coming there. About 50 or 60 of them, something like that, coming in, and over the ocean outside there, we were at the edge of the ocean. We saw them fighting with American planes, and there was only about 5 or 6 American planes up there, but there was about almost 50 Japanese planes. Shooting at each other like that, and going down, and we watched and we counted. There was, while we were watching anyway, about 26 or 27 enemy bombers going down, and only about 2 American planes went down. That's a good average, we thought, and keep up the good work, guys, and
Sure.
They kept on and kept on, but we had to get out of there because they started to get close to where we were on the island.
Yeah.
We had to go and get some heavier or wider, bigger places to hide.
Yeah.
That's all.
Did you have to go out looking for the Japanese?
Oh yeah, we did.
And so what did you carry? Carrying a rifle?
Rifle, yeah, a rifle and sword, pistol.
M1. Was that
M1, yeah.
Okay.
I remember one night we were sitting on a smokeless type fire behind the lines, so to speak. If you could find the lines, they were hard to find in those days because the war basically was over, except the periodic things that the Japanese were doing. And we were sitting there in the fire. About 5 of us guys were sitting around the fire, and we could watch the shells going over because sometimes they were lit up. They're going both ways, and you watch them go that way, and you watch them go that way. And then one time I saw one coming from this way, and it was suddenly coming down sooner, probably where we were. I said, "Duck!" I went back like this, and big boom came on, and I kind of came back to life again a little bit, looked around, and all my other buddies were dead. So I had a big hole right through here, and another one's head blown off, and over here was his neck. So they were gone, done. I didn't get a scratch. Only because I saw the thing, I yelled as soon as I could, but apparently not soon enough, or they were slow with the other. So it was already sad to see that.
Oh, yeah.
That pained me quite a bit, but it's one of those things that happens.
Yeah, right.
It didn't happen again because it was just about a few days, 1 week later maybe, we really secured the island. I mean, we had taken the island.
Yeah,
But this
right,
time we
right.
secured it with the loose floaters are running around doing things like they were doing that day.
Yeah.
So it's things that just stick in your memory, but sometimes you want to forget them,
Sure.
but you still remember them from time to time, but sometimes without all the information you'd like to have to give. But that was.
Just on that note, when you came home after the war, did you have bad dreams and things like that? Like some guys have?
No, I didn't, because I kind of got them out of my brain as far as the badness concerned, even though it was there, and I noticed it at the time. And I remembered it for a while at a time, but then I kind of dismissed it as best I could.
What was your thoughts when you knew you were going to go into and perhaps be killed or hurt real bad or whatever? I mean, what's going through your mind, like when you say first get on the island and you know what you're going to be facing, kind of?
Keep your eyes open and stay alert. That's all I could think of then. Just watch every corner, everything.
A lot of the guys, especially the guys in the Marine Corps, feel that their training really did them well and perhaps
Very
kept
much
them
so.
alive.
Sure
Because
did.
you just did things by, when a situation would arise, you didn't even have to think about it so much. You just automatically did it.
That's right.
Was that correct?
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
How about your religious outlook? Do you think that helped you cope with what was going
Well,
on?
I didn't have that much religious outlet at that time, at that age. My mother used to sing in church. I think I went to church maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and not when my mother was singing there, but my grandmother would take me once in a while to church.
But I guess what I'm getting, did you have a relationship, let's say, with your higher power or whatever to...
In some sort of a small sense I did, yes, but not like I do now, today.
Right, yeah. And you hear the term, no atheists in foxholes. Is that kind of...
Right. No, if it's just duck.
Yeah.
Hope they miss.
Yeah. Right. So how long were you on Guadalcanal then?
Well, we were back and forth with Guadalcanal to Laga and Gabuta, as we like across the river from each other. But I think that was about 6 to 7 months.
How about, did you get sick at all? Any
No.
malaria, anything like that?
No.
Yeah. Did many guys, or was
Some
was
did,
that
yes. Some did. Not a lot, not that I know a lot of, but a few did, yes.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it. I was fortunate in that sense.
Yeah. So where did you go from Guadalcanal then?
Then we went up, I took a bombing run one time on B-25, 24, 25. And I knew the pilot there, and just happened to know him. He said, we're flying to Bougainville to drop some bombs on us. Want to go along for a ride? And Yeah. So they put me up in the plane, sitting right next to the bomb bay doors that were open all the time. I'm looking down there, out there, and then they started bombing when they got up there. I watched the bombs go out and left there. I just hoped they didn't go off while I was in the plane yet, by accident, or some other shoot them and shoot them off.
Sure.
So we got through that okay, and then we got back to Guadalcanal, and everything was fine. But it was quite an experience. But I never did get in another military plane, and nor did I necessarily feel like I wanted to be in the Air Force. But it was such an experience that was so exhilarating. It was stretching a little bit, but it was interesting. I can see now how those guys got through it. Those pilots did a tremendous job.
Yeah. And okay, so then from Guadalcanal, where did you go then? Or
Well, basically from there, went right straight to Guadalcanal. Then after that,
Or to
Guadalcanal.
no, okay, you were at Guadalcanal for about.
I meant to say I went to Guam.
Guam, right?
Guam.
That's not that. Okay.
Right.
And what was going on there in Guam when you got there?
That was a fight. That was a real fight. It was going on when we got there. When we landed, we were running from the ships, landing ships, all the way up, and they were firing at us left, right, and sideways.
Even when you were going on the beach?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Were you in those like LCIs or?
They were landing craft, yeah.
Like 36 guys or something.
Oh yeah, sometimes more than that.
And so you were under fire as you went in?
Yeah, yeah.
Did any in your group take casualties?
I don't recall anybody at that time. There was a lot of firing going on both ways.
Yeah.
And
when you got on the beach, did you get off the beach right away? Or?
Oh yeah, yeah. We started running up right away.
How far was the beach? How far did you?
Well, there's several beaches there, but the one we landed on, I'm not sure which one it was now.
Was there trees and stuff up
yeah.
the way? So you headed for the trees?
Right, you bet. Behind the trees, in the bushes, whatever.
Yeah. And so then did you work your way inland then?
Oh yeah, we were all over the island, left, right, sideways, because the Japanese were all over the place too.
Were they dug in pretty much, or
some of them were dug in good, and some of them were not. I remember one time, Guadalcanal had a lot of mountainous areas, and a lot of them right down to the beach practically.
Wow. Yeah.
So you see sand trails right in front of those mountain areas that you could walk on, and there'd be like caves in each of the mountains, and you could walk in from the beach, so to speak. I remember one particular time that sticks in my memory very strictly. There was 3 of us going in that one cave one time, and it was pretty quiet in there, so we just had our little guns with us, just going in there, and suddenly, out of the floor, guy jumps right up, and he's going bang, 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 but his gun went bang, 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 but it didn't shoot. It was dried up in there and just wouldn't shoot. And we were ducking suddenly because we thought we'd all get killed. We didn't think about the fact that they could see us coming in from the cave openings, dead as a doornail, so to speak. And this guy was waiting down on the ground to get us. But his gun wouldn't go off, and so we got our 3 guns going, boom, and we got him. And then we went back in the rest of the cave very slowly, side by side, in the tunnels. And that was spooky. But,
yes.
That was probably the worst experience I can think of in my life in the wartime, going into that tunnel and seeing that guy jump up and out of this. Boy, I still don't think about that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Is that how they clean most of those tunnels out? You just kind of go in and
we threw bombs in there too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Flamethrowers, maybe.
Yeah,
stuff
that
like
too.
Yeah.
But we were walking in this one, didn't think anybody was in there.
Yeah.
It seemed so quiet until he jumped up. Got pretty noisy after that.
And you're still with the 1st Marine Division when you go to Guam?
No, I think that was the 3rd Marine Division.
Okay.
It seems like that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time ago.
Any other memorable experiences on Guam that you can think of?
Not offhand that I can think of. I saw a lot of ships there of ours that were sunk and destroyed and left there on the shore, so to speak, under the water, on top of the water. It was a mess. It's a tough island.
Right. Did you have anyone special at home at that time, or did you your first wife, for instance, or did you have a fiance or anybody that you were
unmarried?
Okay, nobody special then.
No.
Okay. And so, how long were you on Guam then?
It was a few months, but not a long time.
Right.
We left from there to come back to the United States for a furlough. Now, this is an interesting story. You might want to listen to it, maybe you don't. But
Yes.
we came back home to the States. I went back to Chicago for a 30-day furlough. And from there, they sent us to Parris Island, South Carolina, for more training to go back overseas. And then from there, they sent some of us for guard duty down to Opelika Naval Air Station in Miami. And while we were there, enjoying that guard duty down there, the war in Europe ended. That was May of '45. And then they sent us a couple of months later to Camp Pendleton, California, for more training to go back overseas again. But we were there long enough, and the time had passed enough that while we were at Camp Pendleton, the war in Japan ended, August 45. I said, "Oh, we all got points to get out. We're going home, fellas." Yeah. But the general committee says, "No, you're not going home. You're going over to China for occupation duty." What? Why send us? There's like guys out there. Let them stay there now. We got points to get out. Nope, you're going. Okay. So we had to get on the ship in Los Angeles and they sent us over to China, but we had to take one of these LSTs, which is a big flat front. And on the way to, we were going to go to Hawaii and pick up the ship to go to China. But on the way to Hawaii, we had a big storm. And those flat front things just crashed, threw us out of our bunks, everything else. But we got into Hawaii one day late. That ship left for China without us. And we had to sit in Hawaii for 3 months, enjoying the hula dances and the beautiful islands and everything. And I fell in love with Hawaii right then. But then after 3 months, they sent us back home.
Okay.
And that was November of '45. I have to tell you, it was fun and funny, but we expected to go to China.
Right. Yeah.
But we didn't do that
Uh-huh.
time-wise. But anyway, enough of that story.
Do you remember when you first heard about the bomb being dropped, the atomic bomb?
Yeah, I heard about it, but we were here in the States at the time.
Right, at the time. And,
Yeah.
So I'm sure you guys were glad that
Oh, yeah.
Harry dropped it.
When we saw that happen, we said, "Oh, that ought to take care of the war." They dropped 2 of them, I think.
They did, right.
And they really destroyed those cities just terribly, according to the newspaper pictures we saw.
Right, yeah.
And boy, that was an awesome thing to think about. If they had some of those, they could come over to the United States and do the same thing.
Yeah. But if you'd have had to invade Japan, I mean, that would have been pretty rough for you guys, right?
I think so.
So what'd you do when you came back home then?
Well, I came back home and started to go to school. Went to the University of Michigan. And
GI Bill?
Oh, yeah. And then later on, a few years later, I got my law degree. And
From Michigan?
No, we got it from LaSalle in Chicago.
Right.
LaSalle University.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that, and I had the other, and I finally went to work for a food company for a while. And then I changed from that to an insurance company, which we worked with handling lawsuits from auto accidents.
Oh.
I worked for them almost 30 years, retired.
In a legal capacity
Yeah.
as an attorney?
Right.
Okay. In Chicago the whole time?
No, that was in Michigan. And then California.
Oh, okay. Where in Michigan?
Oh, Detroit, or Ann Arbor.
Uh-huh.
That was where the college is.
Right.
And then Ypsilanti just down the road a ways. And
Mm-hmm.
I worked there for a while, and then I went to California. I loved California. And I went to work there at State Farm in California.
Where
Los
in
Angeles.
Oh, in LA.
Yeah.
Okay, let's. Now, your first wife. Where did you meet her? What was her name? Her maiden name?
Well, I met her in Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and it just happened. I just happened to meet her, and we did the thing. And
What was her name? Her
Jessie.
and her last name. Her maiden name.
Yes. I think it was Wilson. I won't swear to that.
Okay. And did you have any children? The two of you?
Yes.
Okay. And how many, and what are their names?
2. The first one was Charles Richard. My brother was a Richard, so I called him Charles Richard. And he was born 9 months and 2 weeks after we got married.
Oh my gosh.
And then I had a daughter. She was born about 7 years later.
Yeah.
Vicky.
Vicky. And where do they live now?
In Orange County,
Okay.
Tustin area.
And do you have grandchildren? Do they have children?
Yes, they. One has. My daughter has 2 children, a boy and a girl, and my son has 1 child, a daughter, and they're all about to get married. None of them has some great grandchildren.
Yeah, you will.
If they work it right.
And did you remarry after
Yeah.
you guys separated?
Yeah.
Okay. And your where did you meet your second wife, and when was that?
Well, at that time we were going to our church, and a lot of us were playing volleyball during the week sometime. I got to meet a lot of people that way, and I met one couple there that were a very nice couple, and later on, somehow I found out that she got divorced. She found out that I got divorced, and we started getting together and meeting and whatever, and we got married. So her name is Nita, Nita. She's with me now here in California.
Yeah. Right.
So
Now-
for the summertime, we're here in the northern Oregon.
Okay. Now, did you meet in California? Where did you meet? Where were you living when
In
you?
California, Orange County,
In Orange County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Santa Ana.
And did you guys have children?
No.
Okay.
No, we already had our.
Does she
children.
have? Does she have children?
Yeah, she has 3.
Okay. And they all live in Orange County too.
No, let's see. One lives in Oregon. One lives in Oregon. Another one lives in well, that was in Salem, Oregon. And there's another one in Oregon that lives in what's the name of that city? I wish she lives there, and then another son lives there too. And she has 2 sons and 1 daughter. Oh, and that's it.
And grandchildren also do?
Yeah, she has grandchildren too.
Okay.
None of them are married yet.
Now, in Orange County, what part of Orange County did you live in? Where was your home?
Santa Ana.
You remember the street you lived on there?
Yeah, if I can think of it. I lived on 2 or 3 different streets.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the last street I lived on, but that was left there a long time ago.
And
Let's be honest.
What did you do for recreation or hobbies or stuff like that when you?
I was a stamp collector, to jigsaw puzzles, and saw movies, and played a lot of golf and tennis.
Yeah. Where did you play golf?
There's several places around. I didn't join a club, but I just went and played different places when I felt like playing.
Now you're a stamp collector. Did you start doing that when you were a kid, or
A little bit, and then I went into major later.
Any particular stamps that you're proud of that you collected?
I used to collect the big sheets of stamps, different ones that came out. Like when President Reagan came out, he had a big sheet, and I can't remember all over the years because I went into coin collecting.
Oh, you did. Oh.
And that's been more important to me besides doing jigsaw puzzles.
Now, in the coin collecting, are you looking for old or rare coins, or?
I did that for a while in foreign coins, and then when the new quarters came out recently, for 10 years, some in gold and some in regular silver. They're wrapped to protect them. I've been saving those for the last 8 years. I've got that full collection so far. There's 2 years to go.
Oh.
7 and 8. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see that. You wonder if they're going to be worth something someday. They keep telling you they're going to be worth something, and some things are.
Yeah.
You never know how many.
So, what year did you retire?
I was 88. 88.
And so, what did you do after you retired?
Just doing the collecting. And I've recently got into Sudoku,
Yeah.
the puzzle thing.
Yeah, my wife, she does that.
Boy,
She enjoys that.
There's a new one out now it's like a Scrabble board, big board like this.
Oh.
It folds up, but they use numbers instead of letters like Scrabble.
Oh.
That's a lot easier than doing in the puzzle book where you write the little numbers
Yeah.
down and you scratch them out. You just move the numbers around. It's easier anyway.
Yeah, really.
It's a fun game.
In fact, she got for Christmas, somebody gave her a little computerized one. You know, you
Yeah.
push the little things.
Those are hard to do, though, for my brain.
Yeah. So, and where do you live now?
And, well,
Or
part-time in Oregon and most of the time down here now.
when did you move to Oregon?
When I married my last wife. And then, but we got married actually in Hawaii, of course,
Oh,
because we both loved Hawaii.
yeah. So you've been to Hawaii quite a few times?
Oh, many times.
We have a daughter that lives on Kauai. So
Oh,
we get to
Kauai,
go
that's,
over and see her.
that's a pretty island.
Pretty island.
We were always on the Maui.
Yeah, well, that's awfully nice too. So did your wife used to live in Oregon? Is that
No,
what? Or
no.
why did you decide to move to Oregon?
Well, she did move up there later
Oh,
in life.
okay.
She and her husband then were involved in nursing homes.
Right. Oh,
And they had some in California, some in Oregon, some in Nevada.
So where's your place in Oregon?
Salem.
In Salem.
Yeah, that's the capital.
Right. Salem. Is there a college there in Salem?
Oh, yeah. There's a couple, 3 colleges there.
Yeah. And when did you start coming to Palm Springs area?
After we stopped going to Hawaii, we had a condo over there.
Oh.
And after a while, we got tired of the flying over there and back. We weren't getting spooky about it, but a lot of things were happening, as you know, all over the world. And so, having seen what I saw in World War II, knowing anything can happen, we decided to stay down here. We found a place here, and that's it.
Where?
Sun City.
Oh, that's nice.
The old folks' home.
Well, that's an awfully nice place.
It is.
A lot of our volunteers are there. And when did you get involved with the Air Museum here?
Well, I visited a couple of times over the years, but about 3-4 months ago, a friend of mine in our church, here at Adventist Church in Palm Desert, he was working here. I said, "How do you like it?" He says, "Great." And so it was Bob Bryan. And so I said, "Well, I'll check it out." So I came down here and went to the 3 classes. The first session, that was back, I think, November. And it was way above my head, because almost everybody was pilots, and they were talking about all these airplanes and all these parts of them. It driving me nuts. How am I going to learn all that? And so they didn't come anywhere, infantry, anything at all, just airlines. So I stopped going there on that one, and then I heard they were changing the program this time in January. And so I said, well, that's good. And I went to that, and it was a lot easier to understand.
Right. Yeah.
And taking the tours around and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed that. Immensely I enjoyed it. So
Yeah. A lot of people like us don't They think of when you say Palm Springs Air Museum, they just think it's just aviation and stuff,
Right.
but it's not. It's really a World War II
It
museum
is now. I can
that
see
has airplanes. I mean,
Right.
and our main mission is to teach the history of World War II. I mean, that's number one in education. So
And that's good. They do very good.
yeah, oh yeah,
Very good.
I think so. And again, this is what we're doing here. That's a big part of it, because we don't obviously just interview flyboys. It's anybody, So.
It's good. We're all part of the game.
Exactly. Yeah. That was. Oh, I was just going to ask you, at your church, do you know a dentist named Harry Schneider?
Oh, yes. He works in my teeth.
Yeah.
That's why I'm talking funny like this. I have a tooth. It's fun there.
And that's my office that he works in.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
right. So.
He's a good dentist, good man.
Yes, he is. He's a really good man.
He's had some medical problems lately, but
He has.
I think
he
he's
has,
overcoming
but
them.
He is. So I'm happy for that.
Right.
So, well, we're certainly glad to have you a part of the Air Museum, and
I'm glad to be a part.
again, I usually ask fellows like you, and if you want to share, you can. If not, you don't need to. But a lot of young people going into the service are already in, or maybe going into harm's way. From what you've been through and stuff, any advice to how to cope with that?
Just use your best intelligence and be firm in what you want to do, and so you'll do it right and do it, and not be chicken or anything like that, or you don't belong, so to speak. You have to have some courage and mentality to do a good job. Be prepared to do what you have to do. It's a tough job for the guys over there in Iraq. It's really tough. Yeah, they come at them from all directions. The suicide bombers are just driving me silly. It's insane to me. And newspaper just yesterday had one of the guys blew himself up, but he killed 3 people. Just to kill 3 people. I mean, I don't think you should do it just to kill more people. I don't think you should do it at all. You have no value of your own life. It's crazy.
Is there any parallel between the Japanese, because they had these suicide planes and they bonsai attacks and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a similar mentality?
Somewhat similar, but I think Iraq is far more full of this sort of action because they're doing it. I know Japan did some, but I don't think they did it as full and formal as the Iraqis are. Yeah. I'm sad to see anybody going over there. Some going over for the 3rd and 4th tour of duty over there. Yeah. So many are coming back not looking so well. Yeah. That's so sad. I mean, it happened in World War II. It happened in Vietnam, in Korea. In fact, my son was in the Marine Corps. He went in the Marine Corps for Iwo Jima, but he couldn't go. He was training in the Arizona, and they found he had appendicitis. They took his appendix out, and then they wouldn't send him over. So he didn't get to go over there. He was a little sad about that, but he wanted to go. Yeah. But he was in the Marine Corps too, and I remember that. But I'm glad he didn't go in a sense. Yeah. I know he wanted to go to do what he wanted to do and help.
Yeah. Okay, well, Chuck, thank you for your service to our country. Thanks for coming and sharing with us today.
My pleasure.
Nice having you aboard. Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Right. Great. Okay.
You didn't want to see these?
Yeah, we'll do that now. Let me. I'll shut these things down here.